Today we're going to be covering South of Midnight by Compulsion Games up in Canada. That's right. I have to say, the art style right away grabbed me by the cojones. I really like the claymation thing. I've been actually keeping my eye out for this game for a while.
This game always looked like woke slop to me. It actually looks garbage. Why are you even playing something that's actually interesting?
Well, you fat-thighed hologram, all I want to do is play the game. I want to jump in. I want to make my own opinion on it. I don't need the internet to tell me what a game is or isn't before I actually play it. Now, if I run into political connotations throughout, I'll definitely call them out, but I'm not going to sit here and not play a game just because...
That's just what a soy boy smelly loser like you would say.
Alright, you weird red-pilled hologram, let's get into it. Let's actually break down and see if the story is woke, soy jack, end of Western civilization garbage, or if it's just a game that exists. Story opens with a storybook animation type thing, and it kind of tells you what a weaver is, that every once in a while there's a storm, and then it pulls a weaver in, and the last one was a long time ago, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. It's literally what the narrator says. He's basically grabbing you by the nuts and saying, oh man, we're foreshadowing. Oh, you better be ready. But we jump into Hazel Flood. She's just kind of this girl. Her dad died. She's really into track. You can tell she's into track because there's track posters everywhere. She's got medals everywhere. She's very much into track. It shows her dad, who's dead. You don't really see much about him other than that one picture. Mom and daughter relationship, however, is the most cliched thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's your typical, oh, look, we don't get along at the beginning of the story thing. Oh, I hope something bad doesn't happen to one of them. Oh, that'd be crazy. Then they'd have to fix that relationship. Wow, how crazy would that be? But then you're sent to go check on your neighbors who you think, oh, I'm getting introduced to more characters. They'll be essential to the plot moving forward. Nope. This is kind of going to be the only time you see this white dude and the one grandma lady with the stupid ass butterfly shirt and anal beads around her neck. Only going to see one more time in the entire story, but that really doesn't matter because your entire house is floating away with your mom in it. Oh, I told you something bad was going to happen to the mom. And this is kind of where we're introduced to the running mechanics, but I really don't want to get into the gameplay aspect of things right now. The important thing here is your mom's getting pushed away in a giant flood and you're going to get pulled out of the fabric of space-time by mystic jizz. That's just something that you have in this game. It's called weaving, but it's mystic jizz. One thing that is kind of cool is this whole opening section really puts you in a sense of urgency, and I thought it was actually a really good opening. I liked the sense of danger. The hurricane felt real. When you get to your grandma's house, it feels creepy. Yeah, this is your grandma's house. It's your dad's mom, so of course she's white, and she gives off the I'm an estranged grandma, I'm a very angry old white lady type vibe. Hoping this was going to evolve into a really interesting dynamic where you kind of find out what happened to her dad and what led to you guys actually having this estranged relationship where it almost feels like these guys are complete strangers to one another. And when Hazel does go to sleep, she has this dream where a dude shows up in this weird hog carriage. Don't worry, you will have completely forgotten about this guy in 10 seconds because the game kind of forgets about him too with this weird writing. You end up finding in your grandma's house these two sickles that are for like knitting, but not just any knitting. They're for knitting the magical jizz in the air. That's right. And her grandma's house has like mystical aids all over it. It's got like warts and shit. Yeah, you'll find out about that later, just way longer than you need to. And throughout the rest of the story, you're going to be untangling knots. That's what you do with these things. You untangle knots. These knots lead you to a cave where you find Sleeping Beauty's sewing machine, and you're kind of playing around with it when the Underground Railroad starts happening right in front of you. I can't remember the bitch's name, but it wasn't Harriet Tubman. It was something else. But yeah, Harriet Tubman was the original weaver, and you follow her through the bramble and the bricks all the way over to a mystical fish hanging from a tree. That is the next thing you're doing. It just kind of happens that way. You might be thinking, oh, you're trying to pull things out of context. No, this is exactly how it feels. Oh yeah, and the tree is a giant person. I almost forgot. But anyway, you find this bottle on a tree, and there's this guy calling you a boo hag. He's all like rednecked out. He looks like he listens to way too much Leonard Skinner. It hasn't left the 70s. Basically cries a lot about the fact that he lost his brother a bunch of years ago, and he can't find him, and he wants to just live, and he doesn't want to get attacked by boo hags. So then you start going through and finding out little tidbits about his story. Basically, his brother was mentally deficient. He was on the spectrum. He had that autism. They used to hit him with rocks and then snap him with bear traps. He even used to beat him, so he wasn't a great brother. His fuck was so sadistic, he nailed his own brother inside of a tree, hence the tree person that was holding the fish at the beginning of the little section. Knowing this, you then go back to the tree person and decide to go see if you can pull the infection out of his head. And here people said vaccines cause autism when all it was people nailing their brothers into trees. But don't worry guys, just call your local weaver and she'll figure the shit out. After that, you then run into a giant alligator, the one from the trailers, and he breaks a giant clock tower. You run away with a fish, and then you're going to learn about his backstory after you pick up your stuffed animal because you have a stuffed animal friend, because remember, this is a platformer. But you find out the backstory for the alligator was this girl who's basically Dolly Parton. She runs a church now. This is where you see the old bead lady again. Don't worry, she doesn't do anything interesting. She just exists there. Dolly Parton's dad was kind of a dick who had an alligator on a leash and wasn't feeding the alligator because he was so upset that she moved out out of home that she was like tormenting the alligator. Well, she got pissed about it and woke the alligator up and then had it eat her father. She felt really bad about it and let the alligator free into the wild and decided to be a woman of God, which leads you to have to like beat the knot out of the alligator's mouth, I guess. It's kind of dumb. She just basically did murder, and because she's cool with Jesus, she's not going to go to jail. It seems like two people have just kind of gotten away with murder and just chilling now. Anyway, every once in a while you'd be forced into these little slam poetry sections whenever you find a piece of your mom's like possessions. They're dumb. I hated them. Every time she'd pop up, I'm like, oh, another slam poetry section. Anyways, after that, you end up starting to find out this backstory of your grandmother, who at one time actually had two kids, not just your father that you learned nothing about, but also a daughter, and she kept wanting him to watch her, and he kept messing up, and one day he just spilled dirt on her and drowned her to death. Yep, her father drowned his sister. Don't worry, the game doesn't actually want you to sympathize with the grandma for losing a child. Hazel does, but the game makes sure to tell you a few times that just because she's sad, she's not allowed to try to bring her daughter back. She's trying to do things that are unnatural, and that's also why the giant spider lady that I forgot to mention about, because they only showed it like 2 times, and they mentioned a couple times in this section in particular that there's a giant spider lady that takes kids, that also took your mom and your father as a child. They're not going to really go into the fact that your dad got kidnapped because they just hate talking about the dad in this game. You will never hear about her father again in this entire story. But basically, the grandma gives you some new threads and says, yeah, no, you should go try to find this evil spider lady who's been kidnapping kids. I have no ulterior motives. And then it shows you her kind of putting her daughter to rest in this giant tree and sealing it off so that she can seal her daughter away and then hopefully revive her later out of her remorse. I kind of felt bad for the grandma in this section, and Hazel, to her credit, did feel bad too. It was a very beautiful moment, but it just had the narrator kept cutting in and saying, no, don't feel bad now, child, don't feel bad because she's an evil fucking witch. She's a dirty vagina-having fucking witch who's unnatural. She wants to bring this child back from the dead. She's not allowed to feel bad. She was kind of mean to her son, so you're not allowed to feel bad about it because, fuck her. She's a stupid bitch. That's kind of the vibe you're getting. The music, the narrator, everything's kind of pointing you that direction, other than Hazel saying, I kind of feel bad. None of that matters, though, because we have to go to your mom's ex-boyfriend's bar. Yeah, that's right. We can't do any character work on the characters that have already been presented. No. We got to keep introducing fucking characters and get the backstories of them. Is it getting a little annoying by now? Because it is for me. So you kind of talk to him. He ran away from your mom and you, even though you guys had a happy life and everything was happy when he was there, but now he had to fucking leave. But that's because he's a fucking were-owl. And instead of actually being helpful, he turns into the fucking were-owl because he gets too upset, so he can't help you go find your mom because he's a fucking were-owl now. And what that means, guys, we have to look into his entire backstory to a character that was just introduced. Basically, his dad worked all the time for a shitty boss, had no time for him. His mom died, so his dad became an alcoholic. The kid's kind of fucking miserable, always mad at the dude's boss, decides he's gonna go tell his dad's boss off, and he goes to his boss's office. The boss slaps him, the dad gets mad, he's gonna hit him, and the boss shoots him in the fucking face. Yeah, super happy stuff we got here. The kid's now orphaned, big sad and stuff, and turns into the giant fucking were-owl. We got ourselves a were-owl moment. You then get to fight the were-owl, which was kind of cool. I'll get into more of the gameplay stuff later, but it was kind of a cool idea to have you fight a giant were-owl. It was one of the better moments in the game. You then kind of fix him, sort of, but he's been living as a were-owl for so long that he'll never be just normal human again. So yeah, big sad, I guess. We're never gonna see this guy again anyways. Oh, I almost forgot. It goes into in the between level book section that he got really mad after his dad died of the guy, and then he went and fucking murdered the guy on a bridge. That's right, I almost forgot. Oh, he actually did something useful as a were-owl. He flew the fucking Hazel chick to the next section. Now that you're in the mountains, you gotta go find yourself a moonshiner. So you find yourself a moonshiner. What does he have to do with anything? Nothing really, but don't worry, we're gonna find his entire backstory too. We're getting there. We have to find everybody's backstory. This guy's falling apart. He sells little ticket tours because he knows where the weird spider lady lives, and he does tours to deal with the spider lady and stuff, I guess. Well, growing up, this old guy lived in a town with just rampant child abuse, I guess. It was everywhere, and it seemed like every kid that had to deal with a rough life would have the spider lady come and take them. Not him, though, even though he got beat on a daily by his father, except for when she burned the dad alive at his factory. She basically used her web stuff to lock him into the factory and burned him alive, leaving this kid an orphan. And she came in and checked on him like, oh, look, I did a good job. And they then left him alone. And for the rest of his life, he just kept wondering why the spider lady didn't take him, because it seemed like he had to live through this sorrowful, horrible life when everybody else just kind of disappeared. And even though it still felt very tangential to the actual story, it's actually had something to do with something, I guess. It gave me a little more information because it feels like I'm bouncing all over the fucking place, like I'm playing fucking pinball. But because of his father dying and all the children disappearing, the town goes in with pitchforks to run the little spider lady off, but they couldn't get her because she was a giant spider lady. So we had our little Frankenstein moment. That was something. And the kid's still left alone and sad, and that's the end of his thing. Well, I end up catching up with the spider lady, who decides to do the most fucked up puppet show of all time to show you what happened to your mom, instead of just showing that, like, you saved her mom and this is what's good, or having the creature talk. No, that would make too much sense. Let's do a really fucked up puppet show that looked like it took a long time for the spider bitch to weave. Nope. And it was creepy. Like, obviously, if I was Hazel, I'd want to go fight her too. Even though I found a shrine built to my mom, I'd still be like, I think the spider bitch is all fucked up. And then when Hazel does find her mom, and she's in a weird fucking alien cocoon of fucking red thread, which obviously leads Hazel to believe that the spider bitch is absolutely up to no good and isn't good at all, even though it's kind of getting that vibe like, I'm the good guy, you're misinterpreting, this is the point where you misinterpret, I'm the wrong villain, your grandma's actually the villain. I know I'm ahead of the reveal, but come the fuck on, we all know that shit was coming. Anyway, you beat the spider chick, she falls into a giant hole, and you find a locket. That locket is half of the one that your mom has, and you clamp them together. Oh my gosh, you guys have one heart together. And then you're chastised by a fucking little weird goblin ghost child, which makes me think that the spider bitch was actually harvesting children. I don't know, other than it just looking creepy, it doesn't make me think that this spider bitch was ever good. You then jump after her, try to follow her, and you find the grandma cutting into her because, there's the reveal. Oh, the grandma's evil. She's trying to pull her heart out so that she can revive her child. I never could have seen this coming. It's such brilliant writing. This is profoundly brilliant. Oh, the sweet spider lady that was just saving children like a social worker. Oh yeah, that's right. This whole thing is trying to like draw a comparison with her mom and the spider lady, how they're both kind of social workers, just one's mystical and one's not. Yeah, that's kind of all it's doing. Anyway, your grandmother hurls your ass off the side of a cliff because you happen to be the daughter of her son that she fucking hates, I guess. It's weird. She's like, my favorite child died, so I'm gonna hurl you off a cliff, and then you're gonna go play fucking hide and seek with the little swamp baby. And that's what you do. You play hide and seek with a swamp baby until you run into Harriet Tubman, who decides to then send you on a journey to find out the story of the little swamp baby. Basically, there was this girl running from slavery with her baby, so she jumps off the side of a ship because she thinks that there's a little like safe haven in the swamp. Well, she loses her baby because she jumped off of a boat into the swamp, and after she can't find her baby, she goes absolutely batshit crazy and looks everywhere. She's looking everywhere for this baby. He then decides that she turns into a monster and kills the entire cruise ship. So she murders a fuckload of people, which is crazy, right? But I get it. She lost a child, and you should sympathize with her. And you eventually do bring the two together, and there's a sweet moment where they both walk off into the sunset together. And we're supposed to feel for this girl, but we're not supposed to feel for the grandma, because the game tells us we're not supposed to feel for the grandma. Even though they both lost children, only one murdered an entire cruise ship, not the grandma. But I guess the grandma didn't have to live in slavery, so they're about the same, I guess. I don't fucking know. You then have your moment where you meet this guy who's basically supposed to be like the guy from the beginning of the game that you forgot about. He's also supposed to be kind of the voodoo guy from like Princess and the Frog, but the fucking song they do and everything they do about him doesn't really land, so he's not very memorable. He doesn't have that lasting effect. I don't know what they were fucking trying to do here. This is a very much should have been at the beginning of the game type thing, but it's just kind of shoehorned here at the end because this game has no fucking sense of direction. Anyway, you do this little dance with him. He says that he can get you to your mom, so you bargain with them. You'll do one thing for him, he'll give you the key. You're then sent back in time to go to your mom and try to stop it before the flood takes her house. But the flood takes the house anyway. But just kidding. This was all fake. It was all fucking smoke and mirrors. Look at that. You're in a fucking studio the whole time. That's crazy. You never actually left mystical New Orleans. That's right. You're in like the fucking like fever dream land of New Orleans, hanging out with fucking weird voodoo king guy. The underling of a very big black smoke monster, I guess, because that's what all bad media does when they can't figure out how to do a good enemy. They just make it a giant fucking cloud because that's terrifying, I guess. I've never walked outside, looked up at the sky, and be like, it's a cloud! But that's basically what happens. It's a giant cloud, just like in the Fantastic Four Galactus. But yeah, it's coming after you, and you decide, no, I need to go save my mom. I'm gonna go fight this fucking black cloud. I don't care how hungry it is, because it feasts off of like the sadness of people. So you go and save your mom, and you fight the giant cloud, you bottle it up, shove it into a tree, and you end up back in the fucking voodoo guy's trailer, where he tells you you need to fulfill your end of the bargain. Even though he tried to screw you on your end of the bargain, I don't understand what the fucking deal is with all the characters in this game fucking sucking, but he's one of them. He gives you a brush that used to belong to your grandmother's baby daughter, where she's all sad. She's like, oh, it's my baby daughter's brush, and I'm so sad because I couldn't bring her back to life. And the voodoo guy's like, yeah, dude, you can come with me to the land of fucking sad New Orleans and love your baby forever. It won't be your baby, but you'll think it's your baby, and you'll just be sad forever. And so she decides to go with that, and you fucking leave the house to go hang out with your mom, and the entire fucking house collapsed because of dark magic or whatever, and yeah, happily ever after, I guess. That's the fucking ending. I guess you could take the fact that now you understand your mom a little bit better because you kind of did social work the entire game, and you fucking understand. I don't know, dude. Let's actually talk about what I think about the story. Now, I broke the story down in the way I did because I think it kind of highlights the absurdity of the writing in this game. How it just doesn't really fucking flow any direction. It's all over the place. It just kind of goes here to here to here to here to here. And there's small tidbits from each story that kind of tie into the main story, but it just kind of feels like you forget about the actual purpose of what the fuck is actually going on. Why the fuck am I doing any of this? And that's what pisses me off about this game. Now, I know there's a lot of rhetoric going around about the Sweet Baby Ink and all that other shit, and I kind of get it. There are some parts that it's very, very jaded writing. Like the one part in the example is showing the grandmother losing a child and how you're not supposed to be sympathetic for that, but then you see the slave lady losing a child and you are supposed to be sympathetic for that. It's trying to draw this comparison that I think overall hurts the main narrative, and I think it pulls away because you're not supposed to be sympathetic for one, but you're supposed to be sympathetic for the other when both of them do atrocities after their loss. Now, I know that I can be looked at and say, well, that's kind of fucked up that you're saying that the slave lady is the same as the evil character of the game. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be making that fucking comparison, but the game's making me make that comparison. Another thing that irritated the absolute fuck out of me is why introduce the father at the very beginning of the game as something you can look at the picture, and then as you progress through the game, you kind of see some moments where you'll see like the mom's ring, and she does some like slam poetry about how she didn't want to wear that ring anyways because it came from the mom, and the mom thought she was just going to steal all the money from his family, then only utilize him to bolster the fact that, you know, the grandma lost a child by him murdering his sister, as only to never bring him up again or show how he grew as a person or how it affected him in life. You're just left with these questions on if he fucking was able to murder his kid's sister and it didn't fuck him up, but he was good enough to marry Hazel's mom, he obviously made a change in his life, but they're not going to show that. Also, the fact that they try to humanize people that are actual murderers in this story. The first guy, for example, was not in jail, but he definitely murdered his autistic brother. The other lady fed her dad to a fucking alligator, but she's just running a church now. She's just chilling. It's fine. All these people are the most atrocious fucking people imaginable, and the game wants you to sympathize with them, but it's hard to sympathize with somebody who literally fucking feeds a person to an alligator. I just don't get it. And you're also left with the fact that even the mom of Hazel might be a murderer as well. I mean, we only see one child that was left after the fucking spider bitch died, and that kid looked like a fucking ghost zombie. So are these kids actually alive? Or did the mom decide that, oh, well, these kids have a bad life, so we might as well just give them to a spider demon who's gonna, like, put them in fucking endless purgatory forever? Sure, the spider chick might be doing a good thing by keeping them happy and basically putting them in this zone of happiness forever, but she's still taking the life from them. So is the mom actually this good fucking social worker, or is she just feeding them to a child eating spider demon with good intentions? That's like questions that could have been fucking fulfilled in the actual plot. Begs the question why a team decided they needed to outsource to somebody like Sweet Baby Inc. when this is the narrative design we're getting. They are a narrative design team, and if we're getting narratives like this that are nonsensical, have no fucking structure whatsoever, why the fuck would you hire people like this? This is where I'm looking at this game and I'm just sitting here the whole time. I'm thinking that they outsourced and hired a company to do narrative design when a middle schooler could have come up with a better story than what we got here with better structure. A second grader is the type of person who would have written something like this. Oh, and then there's a guy in the mountains, but we're in the south. No, but he's in the mountains, and he goes to the mountains, and oh no, his dad is a bad guy. His dad's a bad. It's so stupid. I mean, even if we look at the idea of what it's trying to do with its underlying message of how it needs to bolster the idea of social work and how important it is, and how the mom's a social worker, and you're now understanding that as a daughter and all the trouble that the mom has to go through, it still does it in a very bad way because you as the player are fucking lost. You're like, oh, well, it's just case by case. You're only seeing a cutout of their life, and how do we present that to the player? I don't know. Maybe not kidnap the fucking mom with the giant spider lady at the beginning of the game and then lose all fucking focus of that. It's one of the biggest problems that I've seen people complain about with like Fallout 4, which is a fair gripe of Fallout 4. You start the game and you never actually give a shit about what's going on with your son, you just kind of go get lost, and the story doesn't really have a good structure or a good fucking leading arrow to where you need to go, compared to something like Fallout 3, where every 2 seconds you're getting reminded that you need to go find your fucking dad. I mean, that's expecting too much of this game to be actually intelligently written and pushed in the right direction when it's too busy tripping over its dick like it's Chevy fucking Chase. And I also wanted to make sure that I wasn't the only one getting an opinion on this game, because I knew that I was going to find something that was going to piss me off and I was going to gripe about it forever. I wanted to bring somebody in here who had kind of a more of a clear head when looking at a game like this, somebody that this would really appeal to. So I had my wife kind of sit with me when I played the game to see if she enjoyed it. About halfway through the game, she got so annoyed and bored that she was just playing on her phone the whole time, and I asked what she thought of it. She's like, honestly, I have no idea what the fuck's going on. It's very confusing, it's all over the place, and I'm kind of annoyed with it. This is the type of game that's made directly for her, I thought. It seems like something that would be directly up her alley. She really likes Disney movies, it's really kind of her type of vibe, and she couldn't even keep in track with what the fuck was going on. She had lost focus, she stopped giving a fuck, and it really kind of put this thought in my head was, who the fuck did they make this game for? That is my next big issue, is who did they make this fucking game for? Because it's rated M, and the game wants you to know it's rated M, because Hazel's dropping F-bombs every other fucking word. Okay, maybe not that much, but she's saying fuck a lot, and she's trying to prove that this is an M-rated game. But why is it an M-rated game? There is absolutely no reason that this game should be M. Absolutely none at all. They could have pulled some of the stuff out, did some rewrites, toned it down, and then released it at a teen rating to a much broader audience, because a lot of the elements I'm seeing in this game are stuff I've seen in stuff like Psychonauts 2, and Psychonauts 2 I think did an incredible job with highlighting the stuff that you see in this game much better. It goes into the personal strife and the pain that people go through in a much better way. And this is where you need to actually tell a lot of these artists where they're like, oh, well, I don't want to like jeopardize my image. Well, who the fuck are you going to sell this game to? Because you're putting it at an M rating where you're going to like eliminate that kind of middle school fucking coming of age idea that this game would kind of appeal to. You're then marketing it to what? Fucking stay-at-home moms, but it's not even a good enough game to keep like a normal person engaged for more than half the game. I was getting fucking rare achievements at the like 4th chapter of this experience, so I know people aren't fucking finishing this game, but it just drives me nuts, because who the fuck are they marketing it to? If you're looking at like, oh, well, I want to sell it to Disney adults, well, that's such a small demographic, bro. You're limiting the amount of people that want to buy your fucking game right out of the gate by trying to make it M and try to be that like edgy Disney film when it can't even do that right. I mean, this game doesn't push any boundaries. It tells a very by the number story. Almost every fucking little side quest you go on, some of them do have a decent emotional pull, but nothing's like out of the world great. Nothing that I haven't seen in something like Psychonauts. It's just kind of okay. Why couldn't have you toned this down and then hit a broader audience? That would have made sense. That would have been logical. Microsoft should have stepped in and said, hey fuckers, rewrite this shit and let's get it at a lower rating. And you might be thinking, oh, you're just another person coming out hating on this game like everybody else. You're basically Andy Pants Gaming or one of these anti-woke channels, but that's not what I am. That's not my thought process going into this. In fact, I actually have a video on my channel how I was defending this game from people like Andy Pants Gaming and the people who were just kind of making fun of the way she looked. I find Hazel to be an incredibly attractive character. I think she was really well designed. In fact, I think a lot of the characters in this game are incredibly well designed. It's one of the saddest parts about this game is I think there's so much great design going into this experience, but none of it lands because you don't fucking care by the end of the game. Nothing sticks with you. It's just fucking hollow, which sucks because you look around the scenery at everything. It's amazing. The only thing I didn't like about the graphics was the claymation animation was kind of jittery and it made me feel like I was losing frame rate. I didn't like that, so I turned it off. But when you're running around and looking at stuff, it's gorgeous. The character models are gorgeous. Everything is fucking gorgeous. When people are saying, oh, look how she's not hot anymore, I thought they were fucking retarded. I've made fun of people for fucking talking shit about this game prior to its launch because of the fact that I think it's dumb to hate on a game before it even is able to be played yet. After a game's released, I think it's all fair game. You can criticize it as much as you want, but you're just out here throwing a little hissy fit before a game even releases so you don't even know if it's woke or not. It's the same type of energy I saw before the fucking Indiana Jones game released, and then the game ended up not being woke at all, so all those fucking assholes had egg on their face. And I don't even think this is the woke nightmare that people think it is. I really don't. I think it's just a bad fucking game. I just think it has no narrative design that's fucking logical at all. I think it has so many issues. It has plot holes every fucking where you look. Everything's a fucking mess. And on top of that, this might be one of the worst combat systems I've ever seen. It sucks because the core base pace of the combat is really fun, but after you've done it 875 million times in the same fucking combat arena from beginning to the game to the end of the game, you will drop the difficulty of this game just to get through the fucking combat because it's so tedious, so same, so boring. They don't do anything different. I mean, even the level design breaks down to C3 cutouts of fucking into somebody's life, then get followed by a giant fucking smoke monster. It has the exact same animation except for the last one you do. The last little run you do, you don't actually have the same beginning animation, but every other time it's the same. This game repeats content at fucking nauseum. It's so annoying. The platforming's pretty fun, but it still has a bunch of jank to it. It's stuff that if this game would have came out like on the original Xbox, I would have gone back and played the game and been like, oh yeah, I'm glad they fixed this in modern interpretations. But this game still has problems, like the fact that you can't utilize some of your powers when you're jumping. It's so dumb because there's platforms that you have to spam the magic button to like make the platform appear, but your feet have to be on solid ground in order to do that. So if you're jumping in the air and you forgot to hit the LB button, well, just fucking die, I guess. It's just so mid. Everything's mid. I feel like the money given to a company like Sweet Baby Inc. Now, this isn't me saying, oh, well, they're woke and Sweet Baby Inc.'s the death of all gaming. I don't care about them. All I know is the fact that Microsoft and fucking Compulsion Games willingly gave this company money when they should have focused on the combat design. This game would have been way better if it was a game where the enemies like naturally occurred to you, where you'd run into them on the fucking side of the road during your platforming instead of getting locked into combat arenas. They could have focused on the platforming a little bit more and made it just fucking top tier instead of mid like it is. The last boss fight could have been more than just endless spamming combat arenas. That's the end boss fight. There's some okay boss fights in this game. Like I said earlier in the video, the one where you're fighting the were-owl is pretty fun. The spider boss fight is okay. But the last boss fight of the game, your send-off, is just putting me through endless combat arenas. Get the fuck out of here. Which is honestly heartbreaking. It's really, really heartbreaking. There's so much potential here. This game is so fucking filled with potential, and I've said it on this channel a million times and I will say it again. There's nothing worse than a game with fucking potential that falls super fucking flat. Where there is like glimmers of hope in the game and you could see a bright path for it to move forward and it just doesn't do it. The last time I had a game where I was kind of this mad and I was so let down was the game Eat Lead. And I still think Eat Lead is 10 times more narratively well designed than this game is. Eat Lead's all over the fucking place and confusing to follow, but at least it has like a direct line. It's throwing you in every fucking direction, but it has a line of where it's going. You're getting there. This game really doesn't. It's fucking, there's a line, but it's zigzagging every fucking which way and you're never getting back to it. The combat is boring, tedious. You fight the same enemies. They're not even interestingly designed. After you see one enemy, you've basically seen them all. They're just fucking angry, sludge, venom-looking pieces of shit that aren't interesting. They're fucking like twigs that float. They're boring. They're mid. I hate them. It sucks too because all of the artistic design in this game, you'd think the enemies would be top tier. Your fucking little side puppet friend is interesting looking. The fucking like weird creatures that you climb are interesting looking. But not the enemies. The enemies are boring as fuck. And it's just where you look at the little things that this game does wrong, they start stacking up and stacking up and stacking up, and about halfway through the game, you want to fucking quit it and not play it anymore. And it was one of those things that I kept pushing forward because I wanted that little bit of light to open up and I get this grand fucking reveal that it's this beautiful game. But I mean, it can't even do the fucking southern aesthetic well. Because the game wants you to believe that you live in a town that's going to get hit by a hurricane that's right on the water where the flood rushes your mom away, but also wants you to believe that you live near some rocky fucking mountains. I'm sorry, what is this aesthetic? Fucking Montana? How did we get all the way from the deep south to fucking Montana or Colorado? Give me a fucking break. This feels like it wasn't designed by people who actually spent a lot of time in the south. There are parts of the game that, yes, feel very iconically south, feel very much so, but there's a giant portion of this game that just feels so fucking disconnected because you're not even in the same part of the country anymore. You're 14 fucking, like 14 hours I almost said, but that's not even correct. If I were to drive from Colorado to where I'm at in Florida, it would be like a 3-day fucking drive. Without any narrative reason for it, it really pulls you out of the story, because there's nothing in the like Appalachians that look like this. There's nothing really that looks like this type of fucking Rocky Mountain aesthetic, other than if you go to Montana or Colorado. I'm sorry. I've been all over the South. I've been to fucking, I grew up in the West. So now that I live here in the South, I look outside, I'm like, this doesn't look like anywhere in the South. Why the fuck does this look like it's out of Montana? And it's so fucking unnecessarily confusing to the level design and the aesthetic that the rest of the game wants, and it goes back to the main premise of why this game is bad, because it does not have focus. It has little to no point, and it feels so dumb that a company would say, you know, what we should do is we should hire a bunch of people to help us get focus on this game and still turn out this way. I don't know, man. I'm actually kind of sad. I was very excited for this. I know a lot of people are already seeing hearing the canaries in the coal mine. A lot of people were already kind of writing it off as a flop. I had a little bit of like hope that this was going to be something different. I thought that it was going to push past the bullshit. I thought Compulsion was going to see the mistakes they made with kind of the narrative fucking clusterfuck that was their last game. A lot of people had a lot of gripes with. I haven't played that game, but I heard that We Happy Few had a lot of issues as well. So I was hoping that they looked at that, learned from their mistakes, and then moved forward, kind of going back to what I heard their first game was incredible and well told and a really like pointed game. And I was hoping they said, okay, we fucked up with We Happy Few, we're gonna go back to our roots, we're gonna get focused again, we're gonna ride that line, we're gonna tell an amazing story. I was really hoping for that, because there's a lot of cool stuff. I mean, I'm not the biggest Disney princess guy, but my favorite Disney princess movie is The Princess and the Frog. I found it very, very intriguing. I love the hoodoo, voodoo, southern stuff. I really like the New Orleans like hoodoo vibe. It's always been something I've been really intrigued by. I like ghost stories and like the Appalachia Hill stories and like the crazy monsters that they talk about with like the native lore, and then you got the voodoo lore. But instead of doing that, they just kind of took the safe path and did nothing. And that makes me sad, because I feel like they could have really like gotten in touch with culture and then really made something impactful here, really made something that resonated, just like they did with The Princess and the Frog. I felt like this could have been The Princess and the Frog version of a video game, but instead they didn't want to go with, oh, that's too kid stuff, so we're gonna make our game where you can say fuck a bunch of times. Isn't that cool, guys? Now nobody's gonna fucking buy our game. We're gonna lose money, and then our studio will get closed, and then everybody will be like, oh, it's so unfair they closed the studio. Now, like, yeah, it would suck that because I think that there is charm to this, and I think there is talent at that studio, but choices like this are what lead to a game getting closed. That's just the brutal, harsh reality of the situation. Now, I don't want Compulsion games to be closed. I'm not rooting for that. That's not something I'm out here saying, oh, close Compulsion games because they fucking suck and they're woke or whatever. No, I'm not doing anything like that. I'm just looking at this from a business perspective. If I were a studio, right? If I were Microsoft and I was looking at a studio and I saw that they were going to release this game that much easily could have been cut down, that had some rewrites, some changes to make this a teen game and have a much broader audience to where you would have had a lot more people playing it, and then I saw that there was money to be made there, but they decided, no, we want artistic freedom and we want to make it fucking M, so we're going to have them say fuck a bunch and have like some dead pig carcasses, and so now it's an M game. Look at that, guys. We're fucking doing it. And then nobody buys the game. I'm going to take note of that. I'm going to put limitations on that, and this shit won't happen again. And it sucks because there are some actual fucking huge redeeming qualities. Like I said, the platforming is pretty good, except for when it's not, but most of the time it's really, really solid. The music is top fucking tier. There was only one time that I didn't like the song, and it was when it introduced the guy that was supposed to be like the voodoo guy from The Princess and the Frog, but he was trying to do like the, oh, look how cool, this is my theme song, which would have been great if it was at the beginning of the game, but by the time you actually see it, it doesn't hit the same way. It really doesn't have the same catchiness as the song from The Princess and the Frog, so it just kind of fell flat. But every other song in the game I thought fucking hit. They were all really, really good. It was really in touch with the type of culture that they were trying to get in touch with. But what's the point if the rest of the game fucking sucks, right? It was one of those things that every time I was jamming out to the fucking music, but when the music is really the only fucking saving feature of your game, that's not great. This game, if it would have like had a good story, I could have been a 9 out of 10, or probably like an 8 out of 10. I would have said it was an 8 out of 10 because the combat's fucking repetitive and annoying, but the story saved it. But the way it sits right now, this is a fucking 5, bro. This is a 5, maybe, probably a 6 because the music's good. Maybe a 6. I don't know. It just felt so fucking flat. And it really bummed me out because, like I said, I was hyped for this game. This was something I was really looking forward to. I really liked the aesthetic. I thought the main character was pretty. I thought that it had a lot of cool things going with it, with its design and its art style. I thought that they could actually get in and kind of do that gaming, Tim Burton, claymation, wonderful, spanning spree through lore and the South, and it didn't do any of that for me. It just was boring. It was just boring. It's very tedious. It's one of the most wasted 8 hours I've ever played. So if you're watching this, I hope you don't play this game, honestly. It sucks that I have to say that, but it's really not that fun. But if you really want to go out there and play it, go right ahead. It is on Gamepass, so please don't buy it, though. And that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed my video. Sorry this was a negative one, but I can't love every game.